Greetings from northern Thailand, Michael C. Phillips. Today I'm recording this from Chiang Mai. It's about a 4-hour drive from where we live, and we're here because our youngest granddaughter was sick with pneumonia and put in the hospital, so our son asked us to come over and help. So today I'm going to go back and move on with my stories about my first experiences of becoming a missionary, the path of becoming a missionary. But before I do that, I want to show you this place. You know, in Thailand, it's a Buddhist country, 95% Buddhist, and there's some Muslim. Christianity is about 1%. And I'm at a temple here, and you can see behind me, it's pretty amazing. So in Thailand, there's temples, Buddhist temples, about every village for sure has one or two. And so this is close to my son's home, so I'm going to take a shot here and see. Look at these trees, they're just amazing. Okay, my last video, I talked about my experience of trying to run from God. Now, I know that you cannot run from God, and I don't know why I thought that if I got on that bike, you know, it's a silly thought that you can kind of skip what God is doing in your life. But that was a lesson for me, one of my first lessons in Christianity. So when I was in the hospital, I did a lot of contemplating. And I guess I would have a question for you. Do you think that was God speaking to me? That's a good situation. So I took that as a word from Jesus that I cannot run from God. That's one thing. So communication with God. So getting out of the hospital, I went back to the college, Bible college. I had to get back to school. So I made an appointment with the dean at the Bible college, Paul Cornish, and I told him about the situation, about missions, and I told him that I had had a motorcycle accident, that I did not have lymph glands in my left leg, which caused reactions, infections, and I just could not see how I could become a missionary. I was being put in the hospital every 6 months, and sometimes even sooner, like every 3 months. So I just couldn't see how this could work. Well, he told me a story. He said, first of all, if God is calling you to be a missionary, the best thing to do is obey and not worry about the outcome of what things might happen, what might. So he told me a story about a man that was called to be a missionary. He only had one leg. The leg that he did not have was made out of cork. So he went to God made him a missionary and sent him off to a place that were cannibals, a place that people ate people. So he came into this place with the intent of evangelizing. Well, they saw him, and of course they saw him as a meal. So they started getting the fire ready in the big pot, and the gentleman was smart enough to say, hey, look, I don't think you'd really like me. So he took a knife and cut a chunk out of his leg and gave them a taste of the pork. Of course, they said, oh, yuck, no, we can't eat him. So this gentleman got to stay, and in time, he got to introduce them to Jesus. I do not know how many people became Christians, but that was the story that the dean of the Bible college told me that day. Soon after our conversation, I realized there was a Thai pastor at the Bible college. Now, he was just a little bit older than me, so when you think about it, most of the Bible college students were in their 18, 19, 20 years old, 22, but now here I was 32, 33 years old. And so I was kind of older and feeling a little awkward. Well, this gentleman, his English wasn't all that good. So I felt sorry for him. So I started helping him out and taking him around when he needed things. And we became pretty good friends. And he started to talk to me about coming to visit him in Thailand. Of course, I had no idea I didn't even know where Thailand was. So I had to get the map out and I started doing some research and I found this little bitty country in the middle of Southeast Asia. Well, what about it? I didn't even think anything about that other than that, really. So anyway, we grew in our friendship. Okay, all that was well and good, but I was still in my first year of Bible college. Getting windy. I was still in my first year of Bible college, and the church had promised only to pay for 1 year. So I thought, well, whatever. I only have 1 year of Bible college, so my second year I don't have it paid for. I don't have enough money to go to Bible college. I can go back and work on being an artist. I had a part-time job at the time because I was putting most of my energy into producing art. So at that time, and I was getting ready to finish my year and go home, a good foundation in my Christian faith. But when I was getting ready to finish that term, the pastor came to me and said, would you consider being the church artist? Okay, the church was over the Bible college, and it was a large church, one of the larger churches of Seattle at that time. And I thought, no, I can't do this. I'm going to go back and work on being an artist. So in my mind, I came up with a plan that I thought that there's just no way. So I went back and I told him the first thing, if they would give me enough money to live off of. So it was part-time because the Bible college was half a day. I needed enough money to live on because of my leg, because of the issues I was having with infections. I wanted full insurance, so I wouldn't have to pay for these trips to the doctor. I had already had full insurance through my other job my other part-time job I was doing at the time. The third thing I requested was full tuition paid, 100%, that I would not have to pay for my Bible college. And I was sure that the pastor and the board of that church would not accept it. So he went off to talk to them. There's a fourth part of this that I didn't know at the time, but I'll fill that in later. He went and talked to the board. They had their meeting, and then they came back and said, we accept your request. Well, this was a shocker. I did not think that they would let me do that. So anyway, I had to make a decision. I already laid out all the points that I wanted, so I had to make a decision, and I had no choice, really. So again, I felt like Jesus was talking to me. So, back to college. We are back at my son's home. Today I'm going to show 2, maybe 3 paintings, drawings that I have done over the years. The main thing I'm going to point out here is it is about relationship, about intimacy. And I think this is the goal. We talk about Jesus, God moving in our lives, but really God wants intimacy. So these pictures are about that, about friends, about mothers, about sons, about relationship. So I hope you enjoy them and subscribe if you enjoy these. Thank you.